Are you willing to push the like button on this video? Lots of people won't, mainly because one of the things that's definitely beneficial about becoming a multi-millionaire is personal development. Give money to charities. Why? Because you can. If you've got the resources, then you should do it. So the main reason why you want to have millions of dollars in the bank is so you can. I'm Matthew Fraser, and this is Amazon Ecom Secrets. I'll be sharing with you the secrets that helped me go from millions in debt to an 8-figure entrepreneur. If you're ready to escape the 9-to-5 and live life on your terms, let me show you the way. Hey guys, welcome to Amazon Ecom Secrets. My name is Matthew Fraser, a $45 million plus Amazon and e-commerce seller. And in today's episode, I want to talk to you about how Amazon has allowed me to create the life of my dreams, because it's something that comes up all the time when I talk to people. They're very curious as to know, look, we see you've got, this Amazon business, and don't forget too, guys, I'm still in the Amazon space. Although now I do have a mentoring program where I help other people achieve the same results as myself by getting products online and creating a life of their dreams too. I am also still in the business. I haven't given that up. I haven't been one of these guys that's just sort of failed at Amazon and now teaching and mentoring. I'm actually still in the game. I'm still in the game across the entire globe, Amazon and Shopify. But people always ask and they want to know, what has it actually done for you? What are the tangible things on a day-to-day level that it's done for you to create this dream life? And I will say, it's certainly something that I get quite emotional about, because I come from a place where I didn't have a lot of money growing up. No, that said, my parents did give me everything at the time, but we weren't millionaires. We were just average working people just trying to make ends meet. And my big thing when I was a child was a BMX bike. I thought that was the only thing I cared about. And having a nice pair of sneakers. I didn't get a nice pair of sneakers until I was like 14 years old. And that's why I'm so passionate now about sneakers. But, so I was brought up with a sense of work ethic and striving for greatness. And I had an excellent family who was always supporting me to do great things. And so then, the reason why I say I get emotional about it, because I went through this period over the last decade where I was practically financially ruined. If you haven't heard this story, go back to, I think it's the very first episode where I talk about the shit show, financial shit show that I went through in order to get here. It has not been easy sailing at all. Nearly bankrupt, millions of dollars in debt, and somehow miraculously, my back was up against the wall and I just pushed through. So if you're listening to this right now and you're wondering where this is going, if you want to hear what it's now like to have come through that absolute catastrophe of a financial craziness to now, being a multi-millionaire, then stay tuned. And I'd love to share it with you, because now I can do things that most other people can't do. But I do wish that the things that I can do, I wish that upon you. I want you to be able to see and do the things that I can now do. Now, when I talk about being a multi-millionaire, there's a couple of different things that it has allowed me to do. There's obviously the material things, and for sure, like you'll see things on Instagram. Not that I'm like heavily promoting things, but I've got about, I don't know, I've lost count. I've got a lot of cars, including a car collection. I've got a very nice multi-million-dollar house with ocean views on like an acre block. And I'm very blessed in that sense, but I've worked really hard to get those things. It has just not been handed to me. So you've got the material things, which I love, don't get me wrong. It's more about the lifestyle. What type of things has having this type of money been able, has it been able to let me do? There's probably the first thing that sticks out the most is buying my mother-in-law a property, a place for her to live in. And many years ago, she was living in, I think it was like housing commission-y type. It was like housing commission-y retirement sort of living. And it was the pits. It was super tiny. that said, I don't want to play the victim part in here. She had a roof over her head, which is a lot to say because a lot of people these days can't even have that. So don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. But, she was living in an average property, and my wife and I just said, well, you know what? We've now got the money to help her. And the advantage was that we could buy property that was down in the Tweed Heads area where we live in Australia. And it was nearby. So we could see more of her. She could see more of the grandkids. And that ultimately is the reason why we did it, right? One, she's in a better property, closer to the family. And we had the money to do this. It was like, and I'm talking like we had the money to do it without making a dent in what we already had. It was like a no-brainer. It's like, yeah, let's just do that. So we just bought the property and paid for her to move into this property. And now she's literally like 10 minutes drive from our property now. So that is something that I think above everything else within the Amazon space has been fantastic. The other thing though, if I backpedal a little bit, is before we did that, I mentioned before we were in a shit show of a financial storm with our business at the time, and we were able to pay off all of the debt. Now, these days, as you can appreciate, having debt, especially when you're in the position where you can't afford the debt, and we were in a position where we were going into this, we were in a debt spiral, and trying to get out of it was near impossible. I mean, I was like, putting, GST on payment plans with the tax office. That went for years, and because we just couldn't get ahead. And the reason why we got ahead was because of Amazon. That was the reason. So all this money eventually started pouring in, and I'm talking like profits. So we were able to pay off all of the debt to the tax office, to our suppliers, to the landlord that we're renting at the time with our business, just all cleared away. And that was just a huge thing at the time. It's just like this huge weight just coming off your shoulders. And so that was like the first thing we really did. We paid off the debt before we started to sort of splish splash this money around on any cars or property for my mother-in-law. So we did that. And so other things that, being a multi-millionaire through Amazon has afforded me to do, just things like daily, I get to take my children to school, and I look around and there's parents sort of coming and going, and they're sort of dropping them off and they're getting out of there. And I can just take my time without any issues. A friend of mine I spoke to just recently, when I told him what I was doing, he's like, wow, I would just love to be able to do that. Just love to be able to just take my kids to school. But he's working in his own small business and he's a tradie. He can't. He's just too busy. So that type of thing has been really, really good. You're probably thinking, wow, I could do so much travel. It's like traveling everywhere. Well, the funny thing is, we bought this multi-million-dollar house. We then spent millions renovating it, and we made that our sanctuary. We actually, and I would say we, my wife and I, actually don't really have an interest in traveling right now. My kids are young, so we're pretty focused on our local area and the school. One of the other things, of course, is we get to send our kids to private school, which is good. The public school system, although I went to public school and so did my wife, I don't know, I frown upon it now. They're pumping a lot of rubbish through schools now to kids, and not that it hasn't filtered through to private schools either. You've got to be very wary, but at least it is somewhat different. We feel like our children are getting a better education by going to private school. But back to traveling, I just don't feel the need to travel because we've made our home our sanctuary. And I was with my wife the other day and we're sitting in bed. And I was like, there's no other place I'd rather be, just right here, just sitting with my wife, watching the TV, just chilling. Even the thought of having to be somewhere else really just, I don't know, just gave me the shivers of just thinking about it. I just don't want to be there. And I think, and I'm not sure if this is because of my financial position now or if it's due to my age. Maybe you can tell me if you guys are, 45 and you're feeling the same thing, let me know. And that is that I just don't go places. I just choose not to do things anymore. I just don't want to go out. If I get invited to concerts or things like that, I'm just like, I just don't want to do that. So I feel like I've either changed, whether it's because of my finances or because of my age, that I just choose not to do certain things because I just don't want to. I don't feel the pressure to go and please others by doing certain things. One of the things that's definitely beneficial about becoming a multimillionaire and having all this money is personal development. I've been able to reinvest a lot of money, and I would say in the vicinity of at least six figures, which when you think about it, six figures now seems minimal compared to the profits, but six figures is still a large sum of money. And I've been able to put that money into personal development so I can continue to educate myself on certain things. As you know, I started off doing the Amazon training. That was at least 30 grand in that. I went into Facebook marketing. I've done training in crypto training. That was like 20 grand for a year. I've done buying online businesses, a lot of training in that. There's a whole host of things. All of it I can't even remember, but it's absolutely essential. If you do get to the position where you're making good money, you should definitely reinvest that money into personal development. And that could be through mentoring, coaching, or training. Of course, that's something that I do. I actually help people who are either new to the Amazon marketplace, or some of my clients are actually inventors. They've already got existing products that are not quite to market. And I find this quite interesting because a lot of these guys, they come up with an amazing product, but then they go through all the product research development, they pretty much get it ready. And then it's like, oh, we now need to get this to market. How do we do that? Right? They sort of forget. And in fact, once you get it to market, that's when the work starts. Yeah, that is when the work starts. So the good news is they've come to me and I helped them get the product to market so it can make sales. And ultimately with my existing clients, what we do is we start off in one marketplace, because one of my clients, his brother said to me, how come we're only starting in Australia? Why don't we just start globally and just sell it across the world like straight away? And I said, has your brother actually launched products into the market before? Oh, no, he hasn't. I said, that's why. Okay. You can't just go and launch it globally unless you've got like hundreds of millions of dollars, because this product is going to be absolutely massive. And of course, he doesn't have hundreds of millions. So we've got to start off in a marketplace. Now, aside from the money, just on a side note, you want to start in a marketplace because you want to test the processes, right? Iron out the wrinkles of getting it into the fulfillment center, doing your Facebook, Google ads, TikTok ads, getting all that ironed out, making sure that the website is optimized so that it can actually convert to sales. Yeah. Now, if you just blast that all across the world and you're learning on the go, well, that's going to cost you freaking fortune, right? But if you can just do it slowly and carefully and methodically in one marketplace, get it all dialed in, guess what? It's just rinse and repeat. You just take that exact formula because you know exactly what you're doing, and then you take it from Australia, put it into the US, put it into the UK, right? And I would still do one territory at a time, and that is the best way to roll it out. One of the other things you can do without, even if you don't have lots of money, but if you work for yourself, which is what, of course, I do, is I don't have to request time off for anything. So for even those really special occasions, like I want to go to school to see my daughters perform on stage, or in recent years, when my daughter was being born, I didn't have to go and put in a form and request time off. I just went and did it, right? Just went down to the hospital, spent time with my wife and my other daughter for the birth of my youngest daughter. And it was just such a special time. And I just think about other people who just don't have that luxury. Just these really pivotal times where it really matters. It really matters in your life where you could spend time with the birth of your child. What an amazing experience. And so those are the things that really matter to me. I know I talk about, in the past I've talked about, the material things, but funny, you actually get to this point though, where you've accumulated all these material things, you've worked really hard, and I'm sort of going through this phase right now where I'm sort of feel like I'm switching actually to having less things on my plate. Because just as an example, I've got this car collection, and the story behind the car collection is I have this Subaru WRX STI car collection, and look, it's freaking awesome. It's like a childhood dream, including a 22B, if you know what that is. It's like a $400,000 Subaru, and I've just always wanted one. And a 1998 model, mind you, 1998 Subaru for 400 grand, and they even sell for. There's one that sold recently for like $1 million, and but it was very special. Now, I've accumulated these cars. I bought this commercial property. I decked out the commercial property. It's like a freaking showroom now. And if you go onto my Instagram and hunt around, you'll probably see some of the photos there. And it's just one of the things I just love. But the other day I was just thinking, oh God, I've got all these things to do now. Now, this is a bit of a first world problem, of course, but I've got, regos and maintenances and all this sort of stuff on the cars. I'm thinking, oh, do I really need all these cars now? Maybe if I just get rid of the cars, I just don't have this extra layer of things to worry about. And I go through these phases too of just getting rid of things, just off the plate. And I'm sure there's a movement right now, like, I don't know if it's called like decluttering or something like that, just like a minimalist life. No, because God, in case you don't know, I'm a sucker for collecting, not just cars. I've got like CD collection, record, like 12-inch record collection. Not that I collect sneakers, but I just happen to have a shitload of sneakers. Jackets, just stuff, and it really does. It just a lot of stuff everywhere. And, do I really need all that stuff though? Not really. I could honestly do without it. BMX bikes is another one of my hobbies. I literally just bought a BMX bike yesterday, a crisp Pro frame and forks made in Australia from 1985. I'm like, I just got to have one. Put it up on the shelf. Just take up more dust. But I just love looking at them and just having things. But, do I really need them? Not really. And so let's see what happens over the next few years if I actually end up just getting rid of everything and just having my house, my family, and I think maybe just focusing on Bitcoin. Bitcoin might be the new thing that I just completely focus on accumulating and get rid of every other material possession. Now, actually, if you're interested in crypto, I just did a video just recently about the do's and don'ts of crypto. So if you're a beginner into crypto, I now actually hold multiple 7 figures of crypto, Bitcoin and crypto. So if you want to check out that video, go back into the list of videos in my channel and you'll see one about cryptocurrency, the do's and don'ts. Because if you're a beginner, I've got some little nuggets that I'm sure you're going to be interested in, particularly around how not to lose money when it comes to investing in cryptocurrency. One of the other things you get to do with having lots of money at your disposal is things that you've always wanted to do. And things that I've always wanted to do is actually give money to things and causes that I care about, charities. I can just think in recent time, there's the Smith family. There's actually just even yesterday, me and my daughters adopted some koalas, right? Donating money to those in Indonesia, actually those in Indonesia who need eye surgery through particular charities. And I'm not talking like $10 here and $10 there. I'm talking like thousands and thousands of dollars that you can donate. Why? Because you can. And those are the things I think in life also matter as part of your contribution to humanity. If you've got the resources to do it and it's not going to affect your life, then I think you should do it. Now, things that really can help you as well is the resources that you can tap into when you've got money. And I can tell you, just even making this podcast that you're watching right now, this takes money. Yeah, this type of production does not come free, but this is something for me that I enjoy. It's a challenge. It's certainly outside my comfort zone. It's not something that I would normally do. And so because I've got the money to do so, I can invest it into another business, which is in turn creating this whole production. And they're doing a fantastic job. And so it enables me now to reach more people because ultimately, someone said to me recently, if you didn't have to do anything, because I've said to you before, I'm still I'm still operating my Amazon business. right? I still have those. I'm not just sort of floundering around. But if I didn't have the Amazon business, if I didn't have my restaurant, what would I actually do and what would give me fulfillment? And I truly believe that fulfillment comes from assisting others, because every day I see people and I want them to have the same, if not more success than what I've had in my life, because I know how powerful it is. And I know the greatness it could bring to them. And so when I take on clients, all I'm thinking about is how can I make them succeed? What else can I do in my life to make their journey in this Amazon e-com space better? What better resources can I give them, right? And look, funny enough, it's not even a lot of the time about resources. It's actually about mindset. That was one of the things I didn't really think about when I started taking on clients. I just thought, oh, I'm going to give them these resources and give them the pathway to make millions of dollars. But it was actually more than that. And that's why I think, with my program, I actually speak to, it's not just they're speaking to someone who's employed by me. My private coaching clients speak to me. I pick up the phone and call them. I text them. Yeah, I'm following them up and saying, hey, how is sales going? What more can we do? What are the struggles we're having today? And it gets me thinking all the time about how can I better deliver my mentoring to them so they can see the best results possible in the shortest amount of time. So ultimately, they can too buy property for their parents, or they can have a car collection, or they can, drop their children at school. Yeah. These are the types of things that I want for everybody, not just material things, but of course the family things, which is what matters the most, including the best health you can possibly get. Now, although I've seen a great level of success, there's always somebody who's done better than you. Yeah. Even right here on the Gold Coast, there's some incredible success stories. And there's one thing that I believe in is celebrating their success. Yeah. Don't fall into the trap of hating on people who have done better than you in business, okay? Because look, if everything was stripped away, if everything just collapsed for me tomorrow, I'm still the same person. There's nothing really changed. I'm still going to be getting up every day, brushing my teeth and having a shower, and then just pushing forward in some new business venture, right? I was the same person before I had millions of dollars compared to really what I've got now with millions of dollars. I'm the same person. And I just really want to emphasize that if you see people who have success and you want that success, applaud them. And even just something simple, test yourself. If you're watching this on YouTube, will you actually press the thumbs up button? Will you give it a like? Hey, will you give this video a like? Now, I can tell you lots of people won't. Lots of people won't, mainly because they just don't want to support the person who's doing well. And it's something that's really wrong within Australia. I make it a point myself of actually not supporting the people who have just done better than me in business, but also the up and coming people, because there's nothing better that I love to see is just anyone, young people, old people, someone giving it a go. So when I'm flicking through Instagram or YouTube, I always give them a like or a follow. Always, yeah, always a like, because I just understand the hustle. I understand what they're going through. And it's my very, very small way of saying, yes, I support you in what you're doing and I really wish you all the best. And if I can just give you a like to help the algorithm push you along that little bit more, then that's what I do. So ask yourself right now, are you willing to push the like button on this video? And if you don't, ask yourself, is it something that's inside of you that's holding you back because you can't make yourself do it? I'm going to check the likes on this video on an ongoing basis to see how it actually does, because then we'll know. You get to this level, but then there's still another level. For a long time, I just thought, wow, if I become a multi-millionaire, I've made it. That's it, done. But then once you get there, you have a whole different level of appreciation for where you are. because then you realize there's actually more to the journey. And I'll share you exactly what I mean is that, you know, when I talk about getting out of the 9-to-5 matrix, you know, you're being controlled by people, whether it's the boss, it's government, right? And then you move out of that phase into being self-employed. And that would include having an Amazon-based business, for example, right? You're now self-employed. You are the boss. You make the decisions. But then you realize, hey, I'm actually still in a kind of a form of matrix. It's a different level of matrix. But I can tell you there is no place I'd rather be than in the self-employed matrix compared to the 9-to-5 matrix, right? I'm going to tell you just a little story of, and this is probably one of the biggest things that I can share with you right now. And this is of recent news. And this is during the COVID period, right? Now, during that period, the government and business was coming down on everybody to go and get the jab. And guess what? I knew what was going on, which has all been proven now to be completely incorrect. And that was that the jab didn't really do anything. The mask didn't do anything. And the 6 feet was completely made up. Okay. I didn't fall for any of that shit. Right. And I was in the position to reject the whole premise and say, I'm not doing that. And not only did I not do it for myself, my wife, my whole family just didn't play a part in that. And that's because we were in the financial position that we were in where we didn't have to get up and cross borders and go to work and show a passport to get through certain things to say we had a jab. We just did not participate in that. And at the time I was really pissed off, to be honest. I was pissed off with governments from all levels who were just pushing this crap down people's throat. You could see it a mile away that it was just rubbish, because I don't want to get down the rabbit hole here, but when they were closing borders and somehow that was magically going to, you know, fix things, when they were making people stay in their homes, but you could have a football game. Yeah, the stadium was fine, but you had to stay home. Just crap, right? Shutting down all the health food stores, the gyms, right? You keep all those closed, but you could keep the fast food joints open. Just like you couldn't even make it up. It was so ridiculous. So the main reason why you want to have millions of dollars in the bank is so you can stand up against the big hand of government trying to reach down on you and tell you what to do, particularly in situations like that where you cannot have the medical freedom to do what's right for you and your family. Thanks for tuning into Amazon Ecom Secrets. If you enjoyed this episode, the best way to show your support is to give a 5-star review on Apple Podcast and Spotify, and make sure to subscribe on YouTube so you don't miss an episode. You can also find more at I'm Matthew Fraser on all social media platforms. Thanks so much. Take care.